welcome to the stream. Welcome to Storytime Saturday number 7. It's been quite a long time since we've seen each other. I've had to skip the last 3 weekends due to illness and events and all kinds of things. But not today. Not today. We are doing this today. Okay. So we will be reading chapters 13 and 14. But I wanted to show you some of the cool things that I got for my birthday. My birthday was last week, and my friend sent me some cool stuff that I wanted to show off. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I need to talk a little loud because my microphone's over there. But I think you can hear me okay. It appears that you can. Hi. Welcome. Should I start saying? I don't know. This is live, so you can speak to me live right now in the comment section to your right, or if you're watching on your phone, I never even thought of this. If you're watching on your phone, it's down below. But yeah, you can comment in the comment section and leave a like on the stream. It really helps. Tells YouTube that you like it, and it'll share it with other people. If you're watching the video after the fact, you can leave a like down below as well. Yes, down below. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and click the bell notification so you can be notified the next time I go live and the next time I upload. And if you like, no, forget that. But you can follow me on Twitter as well. My Twitter handle is in the description down below. And my stream schedule will be different. If you haven't heard already, I was offered a full-time position at a local tax firm, and I'll be starting on Monday, so my streaming schedule will be very, very different now, but I'll explain that later. I'll explain that when I actually sit down to go to read. But I'm going to show you this first. I know the lighting isn't great, super professional setup here, but this was sent to me by my friend Kelly, and it's a from the films of Harry Potter, a pop-up guide of Hogwarts, deluxe edition. It's by Matthew Reinhardt and illustrated by Kevin M. Wilson. I have no idea who thought to do this. It's a little strange to me. It's not a pop-up book, but it is, and I don't know if it's so much of a guide as just kind of a, I don't know, brief overview. I don't know. It's still super cool. You know, anything to, if you want to make money, just slap Harry Potter on it. So I'm not complaining. But yeah, it's super, super pretty. I hope you can see that okay. And has some nice artwork on the back as well. Very, very nice. Walks out like that. I already took a peek at this. I already saw everything that's in it. But I just wanted to show you guys. That's the front of this book. It's not really a book. I mean, it looks like a book, but it's not. You'll understand what I mean when I open it up. But there's that, and then the back of it has the Hogwarts crest. It's a little hard to see, but it has like an imprint of the crest on the back. And I'll show you kind of what it looks like up close. Forgive the wobbliness of this. I would film it over there where the lighting is best and everything, but I don't have, my webcam isn't wireless, and I would have to drag my whole computer over there, and I don't even know if that's even possible. So you're coming with me, so I can show you this. I gotta make sure that you can actually see it. So it's a pop-up book, and it's quite elaborate. Look at this. Like, I can't even really show it to you because it requires 2 hands. But it's like massive and exceptionally detailed. And it has like special like bits and whatnot. What actually you're supposed to do with this is you're actually supposed to put it together and make a map that looks like this. And so that's what I'm gonna do, and I will show you more of the details, and I'll be able to use, I won't necessarily need both hands to show you everything. So I'm gonna put it together, and I kind of tried to put it together earlier. So we'll see how that works. Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. It's like it's super detailed. But my table isn't, hopefully my table is big enough, but you're actually supposed to put it together like a map. I did it earlier, kind of. Thank you, Julia. Appreciate it. Let's see. How did I do this earlier? It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, it kind of folds out like that. There's Hogsmeade. There goes Hogsmeade. Okay. Hogsmeade goes over here. Yeah, my table's not quite big enough. Oh, there goes Hogwarts. Alright. Where is the Forbidden Forest? Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Oh, I know where the Forbidden Forest is. Ooh, it's big and elaborate. And then Forbidden Forest. It's right there. Okay, and there's a way to... It's big. There's a way to kind of put it together, I think. I gotta figure it out. Now, why is this tab out? I feel like it would... fit together somehow. But this is what it looks like in the picture, though, so I don't know. In the picture, it looks like this is in the center. Yeah, no, it looks like that. Theirs looks so much more flat. This looks so much less packed away. Yeah, I don't know how to do that though. I thought there was a way that you can hook it together, but I guess not. Kind of looks like there is, but it's not really made that way. Come on. I wonder if I could put something down, hold it down. But anyway, it kind of looks like this. And I'm going want to see. Oh, actually, I do have my books here. I can hold it down. Okay, yeah. Looks pretty good. Okay. Kind of holding it down. Okay. Let's see. This is kind of what it looks like here. Oops. Hopefully my camera doesn't go out. Okay. Yep. Forgive the books that are holding it down, but it's quite elaborate. Like, when I think of pop-up book, I think, you know, like some book you'd see like in kindergarten or something. This is super elaborate. We have like I don't understand. Two different sections of Hogwarts, I guess. Right here. We have a dragon on this side. From Goblet of Fire. You can, and there's like little like pop out details too. There's like a door right here. Nope, you can't see that. You can open the door and you can kind of see inside the Great Hall. There's like students down below. It's kind of hard to see. There's like students in the courtyard. Wish I could kind of turn this around. I can only take my webcam so far. But there's other stuff right here and descriptions and stuff. We have the 3 heroes. I looked at this earlier and I was like, it says 3 heroes here. And then you open it and it's like Hermione and Harry. Where's Ron? Because like Ron is not immediately obvious. What you have to do is you have to pull this tab here and then he pops up there. Kind of hard to see. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, he's there. He's hidden, but he's there. So there's all kinds of like extra stuff. We have this thing here, Hogwarts houses, and you can kind of look at this. It has a pull tab. Oh, it has nearly a snick on that. I didn't notice that. You can pull it. It's kind of tricky. I probably broke this, actually. Why isn't it working? Anyway, on this side it has the fat lady on that side. Oh, maybe you push it. Sorry, I know you can't see it right now. Okay, yeah, you push it. And pull it, and then it has these tabs here that you can pull. I know it's hard to see. I can't, I need a second pair of hands, but you can pop them up. It has a Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and then you pop it open. And it says all the different qualities that each house has. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. And then if you open this section here, it's Dumbledore's office. Again, you really need like 2 hands for this. Pretty neat. Oh, jeez. And then getting it back together. It's an interesting event. And then, oh, we have Tom Riddle's diary here. You'd have to see it the other way. It's upside down here, but we have that. We have the clock tower, which is actually looking a little jank. But it's kind of, you kind of expect it with like pop-ups. They're not perfect because it's, you know, paper and it's packed in a book, but yeah. And we have, I'm gonna try moving it. I'm gonna move it around. We have the Forbidden Forest here. The Forbidden Forest. You can, oh my goodness, I didn't even see this stuff. What is this? What am I pulling? What? I have no idea. There's pull tabs and stuff. Go ahead and here, I'm gonna adjust this real quick. I think I'm gonna fold it back up to make it easier to kind of see the different stuff. How did I do this? Oops. Okay. Hogwarts. Well, a part of Hogwarts. And here's the other part of Hogwarts. Try to move it into the light here. Yeah, the janky clock tower. Yeah. What's this? Oh, neat. I don't know why that's popped out. Yeah. There's the Chamber of Secrets. Probably would look better if I propped it up and filled it out, but I'm afraid of ruining it, to be honest. Like, I don't want to mess with it. But we have the greenhouses over here. Pretty neat. Oh no. See, that's why I don't want to ruin it. I can't close it. It's okay. Okay. We have the Quidditch pitch. You can see all the different, they have different Quidditch players zooming around in there. Is there something I can pop out? Oh yeah, that's neat. Oh, it's like they're flying. Neat. Triwords of Tournament. This pop out. Pretty cool. Golden Entertainment's Coup, which is the second task of the tournament. Triword's Cup is encircled by 3 dragons. Very nice. You see that okay? Yeah. Good. Mentors on the Quidditch pitch. Oh, wow, that's so cool. the pop-outness is really, really cool. And then, oh, I'm going to show you this. Okay. So we have Sirius Black. He's a dog. And now he's a man. Pretty neat. Really, really cool. Okay. Oh, I'm going now. And then we have Hogsmeade Village here. And I don't get this bit. I don't get this pop out bit. I don't want to ruin it. Like I said, I don't want to make it stand up. Does it have a pull-out thing? It does, but I don't know what the pull-out thing does. Oh, it just makes it pop out. Okay. I know. I'm sorry. I know you can't see it. Okay. Neat. And then we have this, the Marauders map. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, you open it, and like the way you open it, like it's really hard to see because this is more of a two-handed deal. But when you move in a certain way, it makes, you see Harry there? Harry's up here, and then Peter Pettigrew is down here. When you open it a certain way, it makes it look like they're moving. It's so cool. And like they even have like a tab under the footprints, so it looks like the footprints are actually moving. Very, very cool. Hogsmeade Village. Very, very nice. Move that down. And then the Forbidden Forest, which Hagrid's hut is struggling a little bit. You can pull it up like that. You can pull on the car tab and it starts flying. There's like, it's hard to see, but there's like spiders right here. Whee! There's Aragog, and there's Lupin as a werewolf. We have Grop over here. He's like moving a tree out of the way. Is there anything over here? There's Umbridge and the Centaurs right there. What's it over there? I don't know what this is. Oh, it's Grop. Oh, okay. I'm just looking at from the wrong angle. Okay. And there's stuff here too. Forbidden Forest. Wow, look at that. We have Buckbeak. I don't know why his legs are weird. I don't know. But we have Aragog right there. The final battle. Oh, look at that. You can make them dance. Yeah, really, really cool. I haven't read any of it. I don't really need to. I doubt it's any new information, but Oh, see, yeah. See these little flaps? They're supposed to go in these things here. I think. That would make sense to me. Then I wouldn't know how to... But then when it's folded out, like, it doesn't actually go together. I don't know. Or maybe you're supposed to use this when the book is closed or something. I don't know. I'm gonna see what this does. Maybe. I don't know. It's not important. It's not like I'm gonna be doing this regularly. It's just a cool little thing you can do. Neat. I know I'm in front of the camera and you can't see anything. Yeah, super neat. Okay. Gonna put this back very carefully. So that is the Harry Potter Pop-Up Guide to Hogwarts. Like I need a guide to Hogwarts. But I like it anyway. I know my camera's kind of messed up. And thinking of moving my table back. Because I gotta read. Something else I want to show you too. I don't know where exactly to put this. I'm gonna put my table back. How did I have this? I had it. Okay. I'm back. Okay, cool. That's not the only thing I got though. I also got this really cool tumbler. Is that what this is? Haley sent this to me. Oh. It's very, very nice. Says I solemnly swear I'm up to no good right there. This is my favorite part right here. It's very, very nice. It holds my root beer. And Haley sent me something else too. She sent me this. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone, designed and illustrated by Minalima. I don't know what that means. Anyway, it's an interactive, fully illustrated version of Sorcerer's Stone. Like, there's already, like, a bigger, fully illustrated version, which is the one I sent to her for, she's having a baby, so I sent one for her baby. But, there's, like, it's not a pop-out book, it's just, like, I mean, it has, like, illustrations. There's Dumbledore. And, like, it's, like, illustrated like this, too. Just with, like, stuff in the margins. It's full of lemon drops. Dumbledore's favorite candy. And then it comes with, like, extra stuff, too. Like, it has, like, some pop-out stuff. It has this, which is, like, Dumbledore's pocket watch. And it, like, moves. It, like, has these moving parts to it. It talks about, like, his... What did he call it? I don't know. It's his moon watch. And it has, like, moon stuff. It's, like, really cool. It has, like, moving bits. And... it has all kinds of stuff. I think every chapter has like a special like illustration for it, and what else? What else? It's really, really neat. It has like an actual like Hogwarts acceptance letter in here somewhere. Oh, whoa, what's this? That's interesting. It has the Dursley house there, and like it shows all the different rooms and stuff. And Harry moved into the second bedroom, and it's covered with owls because he's being stalked by the Wizarding World, essentially. And I'm skipping over lots of illustrations. I don't want to go through every illustration, but I just want to show some of the cool stuff that's in this. See, there's an actual acceptance letter here for Harry, Mr. H. Potter. The floor, hut on the rock, the sea. And it actually opens up. You can fold it down. And like this side has the actual letter, and this side has the can't really see it. The supply list. Very, very cool. It comes with tissue paper to protect the stuff that's inside. Kind of inclined to keep it. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's in my way. It might be fun to read from this. The only problem I have with reading this one to you guys is this one has my notes in it, and I'm not writing in this. Like, you couldn't really write in it unless you wrote in pen, but I'm not writing in this. Something else too. Oh yeah, it has Diagon Alley, and it's like a pop out. Like you can see the bricks pulling away, and then it like here's that side. It has Ilops, Owl Emporium. It has Flourish and Blots. Gamble and Japes, the joke shop over here. And nope. It's hard to do one-handed. And the other side over here too opens up. Let go. Other side opens up. They have the apothecary, and then the Quidditch shop. I forget what it's called. They have Ollivanders over there too. Neat. And then you have Gringotts in the center. That's hard to see, but yeah, we have Gringotts in the center. Very, very nice. What else? I didn't go through the whole thing. I only went through the chapters that we've been through already. That I've read already. Really cool stuff. I don't think I've seen this. It's a picture of Malfoy. You forget that they wear pointy hats as part of their uniform because they don't wear it in the movies. And I think even J.K. Rowling ditches them for the rest of the books because you don't really hear much of them. But there's Draco in his pointy hat. Ooh, that's pretty. You have Hogwarts up in the corner, and the students down at the bottom in boats coming up to it. Ooh. We have the feast all around the margin there. And we have the fat lady, and her eyes move if you pull the tab. It's actually a little tricky. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. Yeah, her eyes move. The potions master. Oh yeah, and then for Christmas, I think. Isn't this Christmas? Oh no. Oh, we'll get there. But it shows you like, okay, hold on. Let me show you what it looks like before. We have this, and then you open it. You can open the walls, and there's kind of like a sort of map of Hogwarts and where everything is on the inside. that's Peeves the Poltergeist right there. And Halloween. And then Quidditch. The Mirror of Erised. Here's the Christmas one that I saw. But you have the Great Hall and what it looks like normally. And then you flip it up, right? Or flip it, oh, and you flip this down. And now it's decorated for Christmas. See, normal, Christmas. It's pretty clever. I think that's the last thing that I saw. And I don't know if I'll go through the rest of it. But I'll have to read this on my own, I think. Because I want to, because this one has my notes in it. This is it's not my original copy. This is one that I bought for my college class. It has all my notes in it from the class and from just reading in general, whereas this is fun and cute, but it doesn't have my notes in it. And really the whole point of me reading Harry Potter is to go over it, to analyze it, and to go over my annotations and to enjoy the book that way rather than just reading it for fun. But I'll probably read that on my own. So exciting. I'm going to throw this out and be right back. So that's going to be flying everywhere. Oh. I missed one. And escaped. Okay, so now we can read. I'm moving my microphone, you can probably hear it. Metallic-y. Because it's brand new, so it tastes like metal. I washed it beforehand, though. Okay. Just that a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I want to play music in the background or not. I find that sometimes it's nice, and then sometimes I don't like it because like the I don't know. Just sometimes the song doesn't like match the mood of what's going on in the story. But I guess I could change the song if I really didn't like it. I didn't have my Spotify up beforehand. Okay. I had a lot to do today. So, I didn't start my laundry. I totally meant to do that. Dang it. Oh well, I have plenty of time tonight. I'll put the music on. There it is. It's kind of hard to hear, but it's a quiet part of the song. So it's the prologue, so it's really quiet. Turn it up a little bit. Let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet or whatever. It's gonna be quiet right now, but as always, let me know what the audio is like, if it's good or not. Okay, so we're on chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel. We are almost done. We're very, very close to finishing. Oh, shoot, I forgot. I should talk about this. So I mentioned earlier, if you didn't know, that I do have a full-time job now. I start on Monday. So I'll be working Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So my stream schedule will be very different. I actually won't be streaming regularly anymore. I'll be streaming Saturdays. Every Saturday, what we're doing right now, I'm still going to do. Storytime Saturdays are very dear to me. We will be doing this. I will have to work some Saturdays, but that's only until tax season ends. But I might still even stream even if I'm working. If I am working and I don't want to stream, I'll let you know. But the idea is to stream on Saturdays still. But what I might do is stream Sundays as well. Or I was even thinking maybe streaming Friday nights and then working on uploads on Sunday. I still want to upload to my channel. My channel's still going to be a thing. I just won't be uploading quite as much as before or streaming as much as before. Streaming instead of 5 days a week, 1 day a week, essentially. And I'll still try to upload regularly. I want to finish everything that I've started. I still want to finish all my games, all my Sims save files and everything. I'll still finish those things. It's just, it might take a while. It might not come up as often. And as far as streaming stuff, like, I want to continue to stream the things that I've already started to stream. You know how I'm streaming my Sherlock Holmes games? I want to continue to stream those. So I'll probably stream on Friday night. I might even stream on Sundays if I feel up to it. But the things that I have started to stream, I'm going to continue to stream, just not as often. And the things that I have started to upload, I'm going to keep uploading. First and foremost, my book is going to come first. That's the way it has been. So during the week, I'm going to work on my book in the evenings. And I'm going to still work on my Patreon story as well. I'm going to alternate days when I work on my novel and when I work on Patreon. And then Friday nights, I'm thinking of streaming or uploading, depending on what I want to do. Saturdays, still doing this right here, Storytime Saturday. And then Sundays, either stream or upload, depending on what I feel like doing. But I have found I streamed randomly, not randomly, I guess. I streamed last week, I think it was, on Friday evening. And I had more viewers than I usually get. So I'm thinking like Friday nights might be better than, like I said, on Sunday afternoon. I think Friday nights are a really good time to stream. So I might stream Friday nights and then upload on Sunday afternoons. But we'll see. We'll just play it by ear, see how it goes. Yeah. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to do things differently. So continue to stick around. You can support me on Patreon if you want to. You don't need to. It's not such a big deal. But yeah, I'm still going to be around, so don't worry about that. Okay, now I'll read. Okay, so Chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel. Dumbledore had convinced Harry not to go looking for the Mirror of Erised again, remember? And for the rest of the Christmas holidays, the invisibility cloak stayed folded at the bottom of his trunk. Harry wished he could forget what he'd seen in the mirror as easily, but he couldn't. He started having nightmares. Over and over again he dreamed about his parents disappearing in a flash of green light while a high voice cackled with laughter. We're almost done. Chapter 13 and 14 tonight, and then 15 and 16 next Saturday. And then 17 and chapter 1 of Chamber Secrets the Saturday after that. I'm very excited. The closer we get to the later books, the more fun I'm going to have, because the later books are way better. I'm excited. You see, Dumbledore was right. That mirror could drive you mad, said Ron, when Harry told him about these dreams. I'm gonna move my microphone. Sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm loud and clear. And I'm not always the loudest person when I speak, so. Where was I? Hermione, who came back the day before term started, took a different view of things. She was torn between horror at the idea of Harry being out of bed, roaming the school 3 nights in a row, if Filch had caught you, and disappointment that he hadn't at least found out who Nicholas Flamel was. They really need Wizard Google. Because like, I Googled him earlier to learn how to spell his name, and he came right up. It wasn't an issue at all. They had almost given up hope of ever finding Flamel in a library book, even though Harry was still sure he'd read the name somewhere. Once term started, they were back to skimming through books for 10 minutes during their breaks. Harry had even less time than the other two, because Quidditch practice had started again. Wood was working the team harder than ever. Even the endless rain that had replaced the snow couldn't dampen his spirits. The Weasleys complained that Wood was becoming a fanatic, but Harry was on Wood's side. If they won their next match against Hufflepuff, they would overtake Slytherin in the House Championship for the first time in 7 years. Quite apart from wanting to win, Harry found that he had fewer nightmares when he was tired out after training. Then, during one particularly wet and muddy practice session, Wood gave the team a bit of bad news. He'd just gotten very angry at the Weasleys, who kept dive-bombing each other and pretending to fall off their brooms. "Will you stop messing around?" he yelled. "That's exactly the sort of thing that'll lose the match. Snape's refereeing this time, and he'll be looking for any excuse to knock points off Gryffindor." George Weasley really did fall off his broom at these words. "Snape's refereeing?" he spluttered through a mouthful of mud. "When's he ever refereed a Quidditch match? He's not going to be fair he's not going to be fair if we might overtake Slytherin." Yeah, I know. Refs are supposed to be unbiased. Like, that's the point of being a referee. Like that's like the number one rule of being a referee is you have to be unbiased. They could have picked any teacher to protect Harry. Why Snape? Okay. So, spoiler alert, which I forgot to mention. If you've never been here before, hi. But this isn't strictly a audiobook. I read and I talk about it every other sentence. We're actually analyzing the book. But I also, spoilers everywhere. I don't hold back. I talk about everything and anything. So, if you haven't read the book and you would like to, and you don't want anything spoiled for you, I suggest you watch something else. Yeah, Dumbledore picked Snape to referee the match, thinking that it would deter, I'm assuming Dumbledore didn't know it was Quirrell at the time. I don't know who he thought it might be. Spoiler, the bad news, the bad guy's Quirrell. Quirrell tried to knock Harry off of his broomstick the last match. And Dumbledore thought it would be a great idea to make Snape the referee, which I understand his thinking, but, like, that sucks for everyone else. I mean, Snape is not biased. But then, who could you pick that wouldn't be biased? Everybody hates Slytherin. So, like, like every teacher hates Slytherin except Snape. I don't know. Snape probably volunteered. That's kind of Snape's deal, protecting Harry for his own personal reasons. But it begs the question, why Snape? They could have picked anybody. I don't know what makes Snape so much more powerful than any other teacher. I don't know. They ask those questions all the time. Who would win? Who would win at a duel? You know, Snape or McGonagall? That's a tough one. Who would win that? I don't know. I think they're pretty equally matched. But, I mean, people used to ask those questions all the time. I'm sure they still do. Who would win in a duel? And you'd sit down and talk about it. It's one of those, like, just fun conversation topics that Harry Potter fans have with each other. But anyway. The rest of the team landed next to George to complain too. "It's not my fault," said Wood. "We've just got to make sure we play a clean game, so Snape hasn't got an excuse to pick on us." Which was very well, thought Harry, but he had another reason for not wanting Snape near him while he was playing Quidditch. In my book, I put RH. That means red herring. There's always a red herring in every single Harry Potter book, because J.K. Rowling is following the standard for storytelling, which is don't tell the audience who the bad guy is. Give them somebody to kind of think is the bad guy for the beginning part, for at least for most of it, and then have them be surprised at the end who it actually is. That's standard storytelling. So it's if the red herring isn't Snape, it's Malfoy. You'll come to find. In this one, the red herring is Snape. I think Snape is the one who tried to knock Harry off his broom. He's the one that wants the Sorcerer's Stone. He wants it for Voldemort. The next one, they're going to think it's Malfoy who's opened the Chamber of Secrets. They find out. They find out before the end it's not him, but he's the scapegoat for most of it. And then, Prisoner of Azkaban, you think, oh, Sirius Black is the bad guy, and turns out, no, it's actually Peter Pettigrew. Sirius is actually a good guy. Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is a little tricky, because they don't really know what's going on. They have, like, a handful of suspects for, like, throughout the book. They have Karkaroff, they have the dude that wasn't in the movie at all, Ludo Bagman. They had a couple of ideas. They thought about Snape as well. They thought Snape might be in on it too, especially when you find out he used to be a Death Eater. That's the book where you find out that Snape used to be a Death Eater. Though it's not really a surprise, in my opinion. I wasn't really all that shocked. I think when I first read it, I was like, I thought we already knew that. Yeah, the fourth one's a little weird about that. The fifth one doesn't really have a bad guy. Okay, well, there's Dolores Umbridge, but there's no mystery about that. She really is a bad guy. That one's a little different. That one doesn't follow the traditional story arc. But then Half-Blood Prince also, Draco Malfoy is the scapegoat, and that one's actually correct. That's not actually a red herring. Like, you think it's a red herring, but it's actually not. It actually is Draco in that one. And then Deathly Hallows is kind of weird, too, because that one doesn't really follow the traditional story either. But at least in the earlier ones, you have red herrings throughout, and then you discover, twist ending. Yeah. But in this one, it's Snape who's the red herring. The rest of the team hung back to talk to one another as usual at the end of practice. But Harry headed straight back to the Gryffindor common room where he found Ron and Hermione playing chess. Chess was the only thing Hermione ever lost at, something Harry and Ron thought was very good for her. Why can't Hermione do chess? I don't know. I think J.K. Rowling just wanted to give Ron something. He's useless at everything else. Let's give him something. It's not the only thing, though, that Hermione can't do. Hermione can't play chess. She can't fly in a broomstick very well, and Patronuses are particularly hard for her. She gets every spell down pat almost immediately. The Patronus is the only spell that she struggles a little bit with, which Harry mentions in Deathly Hallows when they're trying to rescue the Muggleborns in the Ministry of Magic, and she's like trying to do it, and he's like talking to the Muggleborns nearby because he doesn't know what else to do. He's just like, oh, poor thing.
Your friend asked for one of your fries.
Just one, I promise.
So you say, sure, have a fry.
Shh. And so Harry's talking to the Muggleborns. He's like, forgive her. It's the one spell she can't do. He's just like talking casually about it. But yeah, because it's important. It's very important for your characters to have weaknesses. That's what, like Hermione is really good for doing, different spells and knowing things when other characters wouldn't know them. But it's really helpful that she has weaknesses because characters are easier to relate to when they have weaknesses. Which is something I need to do better at when I write, because my characters, especially when I model them after myself, they have like no weaknesses. Which is not true. But yeah, fun facts about Hermione Granger. She can't fly. She doesn't do the Patronus very well. She can do it. It just takes a little bit more for her. And she can't play. She's not very good at chess, though you would expect her to be because she's so smart. Don't talk to me for a moment, said Ron when Harry sat down next to him. I need to concentrate. He caught sight of Harry's face. What's the matter with you? You look terrible. Speaking quietly, so that no one else would hear, Harry told the other two about Snape's sudden, sinister desire to be a Quidditch referee. Don't play, said Hermione at once. Say you're ill, said Ron. Pretend to break your leg, Hermione suggested. Really break your leg, said Ron. It was one of my favorite parts in the entire book, is this dialogue. I can't, said Harry. There isn't a reserved seeker. I know, right? Like, you're not going to find another seeker. He's the youngest there is. Like, you're not going to find better. If I back out, Gryffindor can't play at all. At that moment, Neville toppled into the common room. How he had managed to climb through the portrait hole was anyone's guess, because his legs had been stuck together with what they recognized at once as the leg locker curse. He must have had to bunny hop all the way up to Gryffindor Tower, because no one bothered to help him all the way up. This is a deleted scene from the movie, and it's probably my favorite deleted scene. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one where they're studying for their exams. And, oh man, it's so funny. I don't know if that quote's even in the book. Like, it's one of those scenes that's not in the book, but it really should have been. And one of the ways where I often say this, I know it's controversial, but in a lot of ways, I think the movies are better than the books. I sort of wrote a paper on it for college. For my Harry Potter Special Topics class, I wrote the film adaptations. And now the books are great, but sometimes the movies do it better, and that's one of the cases where they did it better, even though they deleted that scene from the movie. But it's one of my favorite scenes. What happens? Hermione says, oh yeah, Ron and Harry are playing with their chocolate frog cards. And Hermione's like, look at you two playing with your cards. Pathetic. And then she's like, you should be studying for your exams. And Ron's like, I'm ready. Ask me any question. And Hermione's like, all right, what are the most crucial ingredients in a forgetfulness potion? And Ron says, I forgot. And what are you going to do if it turns up on the exam? Copy off you? No, you won't. Besides, McGonagall's handing everyone a quill with an anti-cheating spell. And Ron's like, it's like they don't trust us. And then he's looking at his card. He's like, Dumbledore again. And then that's when Neville comes in with the leg locker curse. It's this scene here that they deleted. But that bit, I don't think is in the book. But it's so good. The dynamic between Hermione and Ron is perfect. Anyway. Everyone fell over laughing except Hermione, who leapt up and performed the counter curse. Oh, Oh, I was thinking it was the jelly legs, Jinx. Unjellify. I can't believe I didn't know the counter cards were just Unjellify. A Harry Potter musical reference. Don't know what that is? Look it up right after the stream. So good. Okay. Neville's legs sprang apart and he got to his feet, trembling. Didn't occur. Oh, yeah. It didn't happen quite like that in the deleted scene. What happened? Hermione asked him, leading him over to sit with Harry and Ron. Malfoy, said Neville shakily. I met him outside the library. He said he'd been looking for someone to practice that on. Go tell Professor McGonagall, Hermione urged Neville. Report him. Neville shook his head. I don't want more trouble, he mumbled. You've got to stand up to you've got to learn to stand up to people, Neville. Ron says that in the deleted scene too. It's a long deleted scene. You've got to stand up to him, Neville, said Ron. He's used to walking all over people, but there's no reason to lie down in front of him and make it easier. There's no need to tell me I'm not brave enough to be in Gryffindor. Malfoy's already done that, Neville choked out. Harry felt in the pocket of his robes and pulled out a chocolate frog, the very last one from the box Hermione had given him for Christmas. He gave it to Neville, who looked as though he might cry. I might cry too, it's so nice. You're worth 12th of Malfoy, Harry said. The Sorting Hat chose you for Gryffindor, didn't it? And where's Malfoy? In stinking Slytherin. Oh, that's so nice. Neville's lips twitched in a weak smile as he unwrapped the frog. Thanks, Harry. I think I'll go to bed. Do you want the card? You collect them, don't you? As Neville walked away, Harry looked at the famous wizard card. This is also in the deleted scene, where that's where Harry figures out, oh, it's Nicholas Flamel. I found it on the back of the Chocolate Frogs card. Dumbledore again, he said. That was Ron in the deleted scene. He was the first one I ever... He gasped. He stared at the back of the card. Wait. Hold on, I skipped a sentence, I think. It's not an important sentence, really. As Neville walked away, Harry looked at the famous wizard card. Dumbledore again. He was the first one I ever... He gasped. He stared at the back of the card, then he looked up at Ron and Hermione. I found him, he whispered. I found Flamel. I told you I'd read the name somewhere before. I'd read it on the train coming here. Listen to this. Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Hermione jumped to her feet. She hadn't looked so excited since they'd gotten back the marks for their very first piece of homework. Stay there, she said, and she sprinted up the stairs to the girls' dormitories. Harry and Ron barely had time to exchange mystified looks before she was dashing back an enormous old book in her arms. I never lot to look in here, she whispered excitedly. I got this out of the library weeks ago for a bit of light reading. Light? Said Ron. Oh, this scene right here is the scene that they auditioned with for the movie, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Daniel Radcliffe. They part of the audition process, they all performed this scene together so that the filmmakers could kind of see their chemistry on camera. This was the scene that they did, said Ron. But Hermione told him to be quiet until she'd looked something up and started flicking frantically through the pages, muttering to herself. At last she found what she was looking for. I knew it! I knew it! Are we allowed to speak yet? Said Ron grumpily. Hermione ignored him. Nicholas Flamel, she whispered dramatically, is the only known maker of the Sorcerer's Stone. This didn't have quite the effect she'd expected. The what? Said Harry and Ron. Oh, honestly, don't you two read? Look, read that there. She pushed the book toward them, and Harry and Ron read. The ancient study of alchemy is concerned with making the Sorcerer's Stone, a legendary substance with astonishing powers. The stone will transform any metal into pure gold. It also produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal. There have been many reports of the Sorcerer's Stone over the centuries, but the only stone currently in existence belongs to Mr. Nicholas Flamel, the noted alchemist, and opera lover. Mr. Flamel, who celebrated his 665th birthday, last year, enjoys a quiet life in Devon with his wife, Pernell, 658. He's probably passed now, because we know that they destroy the stone at the end. Dumbledore tells Harry that they have agreed to destroy the stone. Him and Flamel. Okay. See, said Hermione when Harry and Ron had finished. The dog must be guarding Flamel's Sorcerer's Stone. I bet he asked Dumbledore to keep it safe for him, because they're friends, and he knew someone was after it. That's why he wanted the stone moved out of Gringotts. A stone that makes gold and stops you from ever dying, said Harry. No wonder Snape's after it. Anyone would want it. And no wonder he couldn't find Flamel in the study of recent developments in wizardry, said Ron. He's not exactly recent if he's 665, is he? Exactly. I think I mentioned that earlier when we read that. The next morning in Defense Against the Dark Arts, while copying down different ways of treating werewolf bites, reference to POA? Doubt it. I don't know. Well, J.K. Rowling did think ahead, but I doubt she did that. I think she just put that there to put it there. I don't think it means anything. Harry and Ron were still discussing what they'd do with the Sorcerer's Stone if they had one. It wasn't until Ron said he'd buy his own Quidditch team that Harry remembered about Snape and the coming match. I'm going to play, he told Ron and Hermione. If I don't, all the Slytherins will think I'm just too scared to face Snape. I'll show them. It'll really wipe the smiles off their faces if we win. Just as long as we're not wiping you off the field, said Hermione. That sounds like Ron. Hermione said that. Maybe I should say that again with a more Hermione-ish voice. Just as long as we're not wiping you off the field, said Hermione. As the match drew nearer, however, Harry became more and more nervous. Whatever he told Ron and Hermione, the rest of the team wasn't too calm either. The idea of overtaking Slytherin in the House Championship was wonderful. No one had done it for 7 years. But would they be allowed to, with such a biased referee? Harry didn't know whether he was imagining it or not, but he seemed to keep running into Snape wherever he went. At times he even wondered whether Snape was following him, trying to catch him on his own. He probably is. I didn't think about that. Potions lessons were turning into a sort of weekly torture. Snape was so horrible to Harry. Could Snape possibly know they'd found out about the Sorcerer's Stone? Harry didn't see how he could. Yet he sometimes had the horrible feeling that Snape could read minds. He kind of can. If he performs legitimacy. Occlumency is the opposite. It's protection from mind reading. Snape does legitimacy, which is the reading of minds. Yeah. Harry knew when they wished him good luck outside the locker rooms that afternoon that Ron and Hermione were wondering whether they'd ever see him alive again. This wasn't what you'd call comforting. Harry hardly heard a word of Wood's pep talk as he pulled on his Quidditch robes and picked up his Nimbus 2000. Ron and Hermione, meanwhile, had found a place in the stands next to Neville, who couldn't understand why they looked so grim and worried, or why they had both brought their wands to the match. Wouldn't you bring your wand everywhere? That's what I'd do. Little did Harry know that Ron and Hermione had been secretly practicing the leg locker curse. They'd gotten the idea from Malfoy using it on Neville, and were ready to use it on Snape if he showed any sign of wanting to hurt Harry. Well, that'll stop him. The leg locker curse. They're first years. They don't know any better. Now don't forget, it's Locomotor Mortis, Hermione muttered as Ron slipped his wand up his sleeve. I know, Ron snapped. Don't nag. Back in the locker room, Wood had taken Harry aside. Don't want to pressure you, Potter, but if we ever need an early capture of the snitch, it's now. Finish the game before Snape can favor Hufflepuff too much. The whole school's out there, said Fred Weasley, peering out of the door. Even, blimey, Dumbledore's come to watch. You mean he didn't come to watch the first one? That would have been really helpful, Dumbledore. But now that I think about it, he totally would have done something about the broom if he was there. That is an interesting point. Harry's heart did a somersault. Dumbledore, he said, dashing to the door to make sure. Fred was right. There was no mistaking that silver beard. Harry could have laughed out loud with relief. He was safe. There was simply no way that Snape would dare to try to hurt him if Dumbledore was watching. That's the kind of confidence and strength and courage that you get from a man like Albus Dumbledore. Perhaps that was why Snape was looking so angry as the teams marched onto the field, something that Ron noticed too. I've never seen Snape look so mean, he told Hermione. Look, they're off! Ouch! Someone had poked Ron in the back of the head. It was Malfoy. Oh, sorry, Weasley. Didn't see you there. Malfoy grinned broadly at Crabbe and Goyle. Wonder how long Potter's going to stay on his broom this time. Anyone want to bet? What about you, Weasley? Yeah. Nah. I don't like you. Ron didn't answer. Snape had just awarded Hufflepuff a penalty because George Weasley had hit a bludger at him. Hermione, who had all her fingers crossed in her lap, was squinting fixedly at Harry, who was circling the game like a hawk, looking for the snitch. You know how I think they chose people for the Gryffindor team? Said Malfoy loudly a few minutes later, as Snape awarded Hufflepuff another penalty for no reason at all. It's people they feel sorry for. See, there's Potter, who's got no parents, then there's the Weasleys, who've got no money. You should be on the team, Longbottom. You've got no brains. Neville went bright red, but turned in his seat to face Malfoy. I'm worth 12 of you, Malfoy, he stammered. Yeah. Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle howled with laughter. But Ron, still not daring to take his eyes from the game, said, You tell him, Neville. Longbottom, if brains were gold, you'd be poorer than Weasley, and that's saying something. Ron's nerves were already stretched to the breaking point with anxiety about Harry. I'm warning you, Malfoy. One more word. Ron, said Hermione suddenly. Harry! What? Where? Harry had suddenly gone into a spectacular dive, which drew gasps and cheers from the crowd. Hermione stood up, her crossed fingers in her mouth, as Harry streaked toward the ground like a bullet. You're in luck, Weasley. Potter's obviously spotted some money on the ground, said Malfoy. Ron snapped. Before Malfoy knew what was happening, Ron was on top of him, wrestling him to the ground. Neville hesitated, then clambered over the back of his seat to help. Come on, Harry, Hermione screamed, leaping onto her seat to watch as Harry sped straight at Snape. She didn't even notice Malfoy and Ron rolling around under her seat, or the scuffles and yelps coming from the whirl of fists that was Neville, Crabbe, and Goyle. Up in the air, Snape turned on his broomstick just in time to see something scarlet shoot past him, missing him by seconds. The second time, Harry had pulled out of the dive, his arm raised in triumph, the snitch clasped in his hand. The stands erupted. It had to be a record. No one could ever remember the snitch being caught so quickly. Ron! Ron! Where are you? The game's over. Harry's won. We've won. Gryffindor's in the lead, shrieked Hermione, dancing up and down on her seat and hugging Pravati Patel in the row in front. Harry jumped off his broom, a foot from the ground. He couldn't believe it. He'd done it. The game was over. It had barely lasted 5 minutes. As Gryffindors came spilling onto the field, he saw Snape land nearby, white-faced and tight-lipped. Then Harry felt a hand on his shoulder and looked up into Dumbledore's smiling face. Well done, said Dumbledore quietly, so that only Harry could hear. Nice to see you haven't been brooding over that mirror. Been keeping busy. Excellent. Snape spat bitterly on the ground. Harry left the locker room alone some time later to take his Nimbus 2000 back to the broom shed. He couldn't ever remember feeling happier. He'd really done something to be proud of now. No one could say he was just a famous name anymore. The evening air had never smelled so sweet. He walked over the damp grass, reliving the last hour in his head, which was a happy blur. Gryffindors running to lift him onto their shoulders, Ron and Hermione in the distance jumping up and down, Ron cheering through a heavy nosebleed. Harry had reached the shed. He leaned against the wooden door and looked up at Hogwarts, with its windows glowing red in the setting sun. Gryffindor in the lead. He'd done it. He'd shown Snape. And speaking of Snape, a hooded figure came swiftly down the front steps of the castle. Clearly not wanting to be seen, it walked as fast as possible toward the Forbidden Forest. Harry's victory faded from his mind as he watched. He recognized the figure's prowling walk. Snape, sneaking into the forest while everyone else was at dinner. What was going on? Harry jumped back on his Nimbus 2000 and took off. Gliding silently over the castle, he saw Snape enter the forest at a run. He followed. The trees were so thick he couldn't see where Snape had gone. He flew in circles, lower and lower, brushing the top branches of trees until he heard voices. He glided toward them and landed noiselessly in a towering beech tree. He climbed carefully along one of the branches, holding tight to his broomstick, trying to see through the leaves. Below in a shadowy clearing stood Snape, but he wasn't alone. Quirrell was there too. Harry couldn't make out the look on his face, but he was stuttering worse than ever. Harry strained to catch what they were saying. Don't know why you wanted to meet me here of all places, Severus. Oh, I thought we'd keep this private, said Snape, his voice icy. Students aren't supposed to know about the Sorcerer's Stone, after all. Harry leaned forward. Quirrell was mumbling something. Snape interrupted him. Have you found out how to get past the Beast of Hagrid's yet? But Severus, You don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell, said Snape, taking a step toward him. It happened differently in the movie, of course. The scene happened right before Harry found the Mirror of Erised. I don't know what you know perfectly well what I mean. An owl hooted loudly, and Harry nearly fell out of the tree. He steadied himself in time to hear Snape say, Your little bit of hocus-pocus? I'm waiting. But I don't... Very well, Snape cut in. We'll have another little chat soon, when you've had time to think things over and decided where your loyalties lie. He threw his cloak over his head and strode out of the clearing. It was almost dark now, but Harry could see Quirrell, standing quite still as though he was petrified. Harry, where have you been? Hermione squeaked. We won! You won! We won! Shouted Ron, thumping Harry on the back, and I gave Malfoy a black eye, and Neville tried to take on Crabbe and Goyle single-handed. He's still out cold, but Madame Pomfrey says he'll be all right. Talk about showing Slytherin. Everyone's waiting for you in the common room. We're having a party. Fred and George stole some cakes and stuff from the kitchens, because they know where it is, as they'll show us in Goblet of Fire. Never mind that now, said Harry breathlessly. Let's find an empty room. You wait till you hear this. He made sure Peeves wasn't inside before shutting the door behind them. Then he told them what he'd seen and heard. So we were right. It is the Sorcerer's Stone, and Snape's trying to force Quirrell to help him get it. He asked if he knew how to get past Fluffy, and he said something about Quirrell's hocus-pocus. I reckon there are other things guarding the stone apart from Fluffy. Loads of enchantments, probably. And Quirrell would have done some anti-dark art spell that Snape needs to break through. So you mean the stone's only safe as long as Quirrell stands up to Snape? Said Hermione in alarm. It'll be gone by next Tuesday, said Ron. Yeah, in the movie, that's Hermione's line. In the movie, Hermione says something about enchantments around the stone. But it's Harry this time. Interesting. Alright, so that's the end of chapter 13. I think I will take a 15-minute break. Gonna pause that. And when we come back, we will read chapter 14, Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback. Okay, and I'll be right back. Hi. Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back. Hello, hello. Okay, so now we're going to read chapter 14, Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback. It's also something that Ron knows more about than Hermione. He tends to know more about dragons than Hermione does. Interesting. Alright. Quirrell, however, must have been braver than they'd thought. In the weeks that followed, he did seem to be getting paler and thinner, but it didn't look as though he'd cracked yet. Every time they passed the third-floor corridor, Harry, Ron, and Hermione would press their ears to the door to check that Fluffy was still growling inside. Snape was sweeping about in his usual bad temper, which surely meant that the stone was still safe. Whenever Harry passed Quirrell these days, he gave him an encouraging sort of smile, and Ron had started telling people off for laughing at Quirrell's stutter. Hermione, however, had more on her mind than the Sorcerer's Stone. She had started drawing up study schedules and color-coding all her notes. That sounds like me in school. Harry and her Ron wouldn't have minded, but she kept nagging them to do the same. Hermione, the exams are ages away. 10 weeks, Hermione snapped. That's not ages. That's like a second to Nicholas Flamel. But we're not 600 years old, Ron reminded her. Anyway, what are you studying for? You already know it all. What am I studying for? Are you crazy? You realize we need to pass these exams to get into the second year. They're very important. I should have started studying a month ago. I don't know what has gotten into me. Unfortunately, the teachers seemed to be thinking along the same lines as Hermione. They piled so much homework on them that the Easter holidays weren't nearly as much fun as the Christmas ones. That's usually how that goes. They usually in my schooling experience, they wrap things up before Christmas. But for Easter, they give you your finals that you need to do over Easter. Or the final is when you get back from Easter. So you need to study all Easter weekend. It was hard to relax with Hermione next to you reciting the 12 uses of dragon's blood or practicing wand movements. Moaning and yawning, Harry and Ron spent most of their free time in the library with her, trying to get through all their extra work. That's something that you never see in the movies either. In every single Harry Potter book, there's always a chapter dedicated to the three of them worrying about studying. Or, Hermione studying and then Ron and Harry worrying about studying. There's always that bit in the book. There's always a portion of the book where they're worried about exams. You never even hear of the exams in the movies ever. It's like they never even happen. Except for, Chamber of Secrets, where they're canceled all of a sudden. But, yeah. Where am I? I'll never remember this, Ron burst out one afternoon, throwing down his quill and looking longingly out of the library window. It was the first really fine day they'd had in months. The sky was a clear, forget-me-not blue, and there was a feeling in the air of summer coming. Oh, man. I wish I knew the feeling. It's cold. I think it's supposed to get down to below freezing tonight. Or it's already below freezing. It's 0 degrees. It was 0 degrees last night. And I think it's supposed to be about the same tonight. Jeez. Too cold here where I live. Harry, who was looking up Dittany in 1000 Magical Herbs and Fungi, didn't look up until he heard Ron say, Hagrid, what are you doing in the library? Harry needs to pay attention because he's going to be using Dittany a lot, especially in Deathly Hallows. Hagrid shuffled into view, hiding something behind his back. He looked very out of place in his moleskin overcoat. Just looking, he said in a shifty voice that got their interest at once. And what are your lot up to? He looked suddenly suspicious. You're not still looking for Nicholas Flamel, are you? Oh, we found out about him ages ago, said Ron impressively. And we know what the dog's guarding. It's the sorcerer's... Shh! Said Hagrid again. Listen, come and see me later. I'm not promising I'll tell you anything, mind, but don't go rabbiting about it here. Students aren't supposed to know. They'll think I've told you. See you later then, said Harry. Hagrid shuffled off. What was he hiding behind his back? Said Hermione thoughtfully. Do you think it has anything to do with the stone? I'm going to see what section he was in, said Ron, who had had enough of working. He came back a minute later with a pile of books in his arms and slammed them down on the table. Dragons, he whispered. Hagrid was looking up stuff about dragons. Look at these. Dragon species of Great Britain and Ireland, from egg to inferno. A dragon keeper's guide. Hagrid's always wanted a dragon. He told me so the first time I ever met him, said Harry. But it's against our laws, said Ron. Dragon breeders are outlawed by the Warlocks Convention of 1709. Everyone knows that. It's hard to stop muggles from noticing us if we're keeping dragons in the back garden. Anyway, you can't tame dragons. It's dangerous. You should see the burns Charlie's got off wild ones in Romania. But there aren't wild dragons in Britain, said Harry. Of course there are, said Ron. Common Welsh green and Herbadine blacks.
Can't hide. They're following you. You're crazy.
The Ministry of Magic has a job hushing them up, I can tell you. Our kind have had to keep putting spells on muggles who've spotted them to make them forget. So what on earth's Hagrid up to? Said Hermione. Interesting facts about dragons. They're in England. I think there are dragons in almost anywhere in the world. You can find a certain species of dragon, I believe. I think. From what I've read. When they knocked on the door of the gamekeeper's hut an hour later, they were surprised to see that all the curtains were closed. Hagrid called, "Who is it?" before he let them in, and then shut the door quickly behind them. It was stiflingly hot inside. Even though it was such a warm day, there was a blazing fire in the grate. Hagrid made them tea and offered them stout sandwiches. What's a stout? Or stoat? S-T-O-A-T. I'm gonna look it up. What does that sound? I'm hearing something in my headphones. What is that? Am I crazy? Oh, they're singing. Oh. They're singing Hogwarts. They're singing Hogwarts Christmas. The Hogwarts Christmas song. It's an actual song. It's so quiet. It sounded like an advertisement going on in the background. I was so confused. They're singing the Hogwarts Christmas song, which is in the movie. You can hear the ghosts singing it when they're passing the hallway. Okay, what am I looking for? Sorry. What's a stoat Patronus? Stoat sandwich. Hey! No, not a stoat. No. It's actually... Google, man, you know what I'm looking for. Stoat sandwich. No, I was looking for it. Stoat sandwich. Yeah. What is it? It's in Harry Potter. That's all that tells me. A stoat sandwich is a sandwich made with the meat of a stoat. Okay? Or stout. Or I don't know how to pronounce that. Ruby's Hagrid was fond of these sandwiches, offering some to Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger one of the several times they came to his hut during the 1991 to 1992 school year. Okay. Okay. Interesting. From the meat of a stoat? That's what it looks like. And they're like weasels. From what I've seen. Okay. Alright. Interesting. Which they refused. They refused the sandwiches. I don't know. I'm pretty hungry. I don't think I'd refuse them. So, you wanted to ask me something. Yes, said Harry. There is no point beating around the bush. We were wondering if you could tell us what's guarding the Sorcerer's Stone, apart from Fluffy. Hagrid frowned at him. Of course I can, he said. Number 1, I don't know myself. Number 2, you know too much already, so I wouldn't tell you if I could. That stone's here for a good reason. It was almost stolen out of Gringotts. I suppose you worked that out and all. Excuse me. Beats me how you even know about Fluffy. Oh, come on, Hagrid. You might not want to tell us, but you do know. You know everything that goes on round here, said Hermione in a warm, flattering voice. Hagrid's beard twitched, and they could tell he was smiling. We only wondered who has done the guarding, really, Hermione went on. We wondered who Dumbledore had trusted enough to help him, apart from you. Hagrid's chest swelled at these last words. Harry and Ron beamed at Hermione. Well, I don't suppose it could hurt to tell you that. Let's see. He borrowed Fluffy from me. Then some of the teachers did enchantments. Professor Sprout, Professor Flitwick, Professor McGonagall. He took them off on his fingers. Professor Quirrell. And Dumbledore himself did something, of course. Hang on, I've forgotten someone. Oh, yeah, Professor Snape. Snape? Yeah. You're not still on about that, are you? Look, Snape helped protect the stone. He's not about to steal it. Harry knew Ron and Hermione were thinking the same as he was. If Snape had been in on protecting the stone, it must have been easy to find out how the other teachers had guarded it. He probably knew everything, except, it seemed, Quirrell's spell and how to get past Fluffy. You're the only one who knows how to get past Fluffy, aren't you, Hagrid? Said Harry anxiously. And you wouldn't tell anyone, would you? Not even one of the teachers? Not a soul knows how, except me and Dumbledore, said Hagrid proudly. Well, that's something, Harry muttered to the others. Hagrid, can we have a window open? I'm boiling. Can't, Harry, sorry, said Hagrid. Harry noticed him glancing at the fire. Harry looked at it too. Hagrid, what's that? But he already knew what it was. In the very heart of the fire, underneath the kettle, was a huge black egg. Ah, said Hagrid, fiddling nervously with his beard. That's, Where did you get it, Hagrid? Said Ron, crouching over the fire to get a closer look at the egg. It must have cost you a fortune. Won it, said Hagrid. Last night, I was down in the village having a few drinks and got into a game of cards with a stranger. Think he was quite glad to get rid of it, to be honest. But what are you going to do with it when it's hatched? Said Hermione. Well, I've been doing some reading, said Hagrid, pulling a large book from under his pillow. Got this out of the library. Dragon breeding for pleasure and profit. It's a bit out of date, of course, but it's all in here. Keep the egg in the fire, 'cause that's their mother's breath on 'em, see? And when it hatches, feed it on a bucket of brandy mixed with chicken blood every half hour. And see here, how to recognize different eggs. What I got there is a Norwegian ridgeback. They're rare, them. He looked very pleased with himself, but Hermione didn't. Hagrid, you live in a wooden house, she said, but Hagrid wasn't listening. He was humming merrily as he stoked the fire. That's classic Hagrid. And Hermione is so over it. Nobody puts up with Hagrid's creatures as much as Hermione, let me tell you. She is just struggles with the dragon here. And then in Prisoner of Azkaban, she, like, spends half of her time trying to figure out how to save Buckbeak from the executioner. Oh, jeez. It's a good thing she was completely left out of the whole Aragog thing. So now that they have something else to worry about, what might happen to Hagrid if anyone found out he was hiding an illegal dragon in his hut? Oh, I liked it better in the movie. Another instance where the movie is better than the book. Ron tells them that it's a Norwegian Ridgeback. I think that's way better. It's way cooler. Ron gets a line because he knows something. He knows something that the others don't. He's like, oh, it's a Norwegian Ridgeback. But no, Hagrid tells them. Lame. Wonder what it's like to have a peaceful life. Ron sighed as evening after evening they struggled through all the exam homework they were getting. Hermione had now started making study schedules for Harry and Ron too. It was driving them nuts. And always, whenever you're going through something really hard, you're just like, man, I forget what it's like to live normally. And then you live normally and you completely take it for granted. But it's funny too that Ron says that because you better get used to this. Because things are pretty much going to not be peaceful for him for at least another 6 years. Then, when breakfast time, Hedwig brought Harry another note from Hagrid. He had written only 2 words. It's hatching. Ron wanted to skip herbology and go straight down to the hut. Hermione wouldn't hear of it. Hermione, how many times in our lives are we going to see a dragon hatching? We've got lessons. We'll get into trouble, and that's nothing to what Hagrid's going to be in when someone finds out what he's doing. Shut up, Harry whispered. Malfoy was only a few feet away, and he had stopped dead to listen. How much had he heard? Harry didn't like the look on Malfoy's face at all. Ron and Hermione argued all the way to herbology, and in the end, Hermione agreed to run down to Hagrid's with the other 2 during morning break. When the bell sounded from the castle at the end of their lesson, the 3 of them dropped their trowels at once and hurried through the grounds to the edge of the forest. Hagrid greeted them, looking flushed and excited. It's nearly out, he ushered them inside. The egg was lying on the table. There were deep cracks in it. Something was moving inside. A funny clicking noise was coming from it. They all drew their chairs up to the table and watched with bated breath. All at once, there was a scraping noise and the egg split open. The baby dragon flopped onto the table. It wasn't exactly pretty. Harry thought it looked like a crumpled black umbrella. Its spiny wings were huge compared to its skinny jet body. It had a long snout with wide nostrils, the stubs of horns, and bulging orange eyes. It sneezed. A couple of sparks flew out of its snout. Isn't he beautiful? Hagrid murmured. He reached out a hand to stroke the dragon's head. It snapped at its fingers, showing pointed fangs. Bless him, look, he knows his mummy, said Hagrid. Hagrid, said Hermione, how fast do Norwegian Ridgebacks grow exactly? Hagrid was about to answer when the color suddenly drained from his face. He leapt to his feet and ran to the window. What's the matter? Someone was looking through the gap in the curtains. It's a kid. He's run back to the school. Back up to the school. Harry bolted to the door and looked out. Even at a distance, there was no mistaking him. Malfoy had seen the dragon. Something about the smile lurking on Malfoy's face during the next week made Harry, Ron, and Hermione very nervous. They spent most of their free time in Hagrid's darkened hut, trying to reason with him. Let him go, Harry urged. Set him free. I can't, said Hagrid. He's too little. He'd die. They looked at the dragon. It had grown 3 times in length in just a week. Smoke kept furling out of its nostrils. Hagrid hadn't been doing his gamekeeping duties because the dragon was keeping him so busy. There were empty brandy bottles and chicken feathers all over the floor. I've decided to call him Norbert, said Hagrid, looking at the dragon with misty eyes. "He really knows me now. Watch. Norbert! Norbert! Where's Mummy?" "He's lost his marbles," Ron muttered in Harry's ear. "Hagrid," said Harry loudly, "give it 2 weeks and Norbert's going to be as long as your house. Malfoy could go to Dumbledore any moment." Hagrid bit his lip. I know I can't keep him forever, but I can't just dump him. I can't." Harry suddenly turned to Ron. "Charlie," he said. "You're losing it too," said Ron. "I'm Ron, remember?" Harry looks at Ron. "Charlie!" "You'll lose it too. I'm Ron, remember?" "No, Charlie, your brother, Charlie, in Romania, studying dragons. We can send Norbert to him. Charlie can take care of him, and then put him back in the wild." "Brilliant," said Ron. "How about it, Hagrid?" And in the end, Hagrid agreed that they could send an owl to Charlie to ask him. The following week dragged by. Wednesday night found Hermione and Harry sitting alone in the common room, long after everyone else had gone to bed. The clock on the wall had just chimed midnight when the portrait hole burst open. Ron appeared out of nowhere as he pulled off Harry's invisibility cloak. He had been down at Hagrid's hut, helping him feed Norbert, who was now eating dead rats by the crate. Forget Hermione. Ron struggles with this one. Oh, no. I was reading a note that I wrote on the side. "It bit me," he said, showing them his hand, which was wrapped in a bloody handkerchief. "I'm not going to be able to hold a quill for a week. I tell you, that dragon's the most horrible animal I've ever met. But the way Hagrid goes on about it, you'd think it was a fluffy little bunny rabbit. When it bit me, he told me off for frightening it. And when I left, he was singing it a lullaby." There was a tap on the dark window. "It's Hedwig," said Harry, hurrying to let her in. "She'll have Charlie's answer." The three of them put their heads together to read the note. "Dear Ron, how are you? Thanks for the letter. I'd be glad to take the Norwegian Rich back, but it won't be easy getting him here. I think the best thing will be to send him over with some friends of mine who are coming to visit me next week. Trouble is, they mustn't be seen carrying an illegal dragon. Could you get the Ridgebag up the tallest tower at midnight on Saturday?"
Eye contact with that old faucet. It's
They can meet you there and take him away while it's still dark. Send me an answer as soon as possible. Love, Charlie. It's the only brother that we never see in the movie. It's sad. We literally see every Weasley but him. They looked at one another. "We've got the invisibility cloak," said Harry. "It shouldn't be too difficult. I think the cloak's big enough to cover 2 of us, and Norbert." It was a mark of how bad the last week had been that the other two agreed with him. Anything to get rid of Norbert and Malfoy. There was a hitch. By the next morning, Ron's bitten hand had swollen to twice its usual size. He didn't know whether it was safe to go to Madame Pomfrey. Would she recognize a dragon bite? By the afternoon, though, he had no choice. The cut had turned a nasty shade of green. It looked as if Norbert's fangs were poisonous. Harry and Hermione rushed up to the hospital wing at the end of the day to find Ron in a terrible state in bed. "It's not just my hand," he whispered, "although that feels like it's about to fall off. Malfoy told Madame Pomfrey he wanted to borrow one of my books so he could come and have a good laugh at me. He kept threatening to tell her what really bit me. I've told her it was a dog, but I don't think she believes me. I shouldn't have hit him at the Quidditch match. That's why he's doing this." Harry and Hermione tried to calm Ron down. "It'll all be over by midnight on Saturday," said Hermione, but this didn't soothe Ron at all. On the contrary, he sat bolt upright and broke into a sweat. "Midnight on Saturday," he said in a harsh voice. "Oh no! Oh no! I've just remembered. Charlie's letter was in that book Malfoy took. He's going to know we're getting rid of Norbert." Great. Things are not going well for them. Harry and Hermione didn't get a chance to answer. Madame Pomfrey came over at that moment and made them leave, saying Ron needed sleep. "It's too late to change the plan now," Harry told Hermione. "We haven't got time to send Charlie another owl, and this could be our only chance to get rid of Norbert. We'll have to risk it. And we have got the invisibility cloak. Malfoy doesn't know about that." They found Fang the boarhound sitting outside with a bandaged tail when they went to tell Hagrid, who opened a window to talk to them. "I won't let you in," he puffed. Norbert's at a tricky stage. Nothing I can't handle." When they told him about Charlie's letter, his eyes filled with tears, although that might have been because Norbert had just bitten him on the leg. "Ah, it's all right. He only got me boot. Just playing. He's only a baby, after all." The baby banged its tail on the wall, making the windows rattle. Harry and Hermione walked back to the castle, feeling Saturday couldn't come quickly enough. They would have felt sorry for Hagrid when the time came for him to say goodbye to Norbert if they hadn't been so worried about what they had to do. Okay. It was a very dark, cloudy night, and they were a bit late arriving at Hagrid's hut because they'd had to wait for Peeves to get out of their way in the entrance hall where he'd been playing tennis against the wall. Hagrid had Norbert packed and ready in a large crate. "He's got lots of rats and some brandy for the journey," said Hagrid in a muffled voice, "and I've packed his teddy bear in case he gets lonely." From inside the crate came ripping noises that sounded to Harry as though the teddy was having his head ripped off. "Bye-bye, Norbert," Hagrid sobbed as Harry and Hermione covered the crate with the invisibility cloak and stepped underneath it themselves. "Mommy will never forget you." How they managed to get the crate back up to the castle they never knew. Midnight ticked nearer as they heaved Norbert up the marble staircase in the entrance hall and along the dark corridors. Up another staircase, then another. Even one of Harry's shortcuts didn't make the work much easier. "Nearly there," Harry panted as they reached the corridor beneath the tallest tower. Then a sudden movement ahead of them made them almost drop the crate. Forgetting that they were already invisible, they shrank into the shadows, staring at the dark outlines of two people grappling with each other 10 feet away. A lamp flared. Professor McGonagall, in a tartan bathrobe and a hairnet, had Malfoy by the ear. "Detention!" she shouted. "And 20 points from Slytherin, wandering around in the middle of the night. How dare you! You don't understand, Professor. Harry Potter's coming. He's got a dragon. What utter rubbish! How dare you tell such lies? Come on, I shall see Professor Snape about you, Malfoy." The steep spiral staircase up to the top of the tower seemed the easiest thing in the world after that. Not until they'd stepped out into the cold night air did they throw off the cloak, glad to be able to breathe properly again. Hermione did a sort of jig. "Malfoy's got attention. I could sing." "Don't," Harry advised her. Chuckling about Malfoy, they waited, Norbert thrashing about in his crate. About 10 minutes later, 4 broomsticks came swooping down out of the darkness. I left a note that I don't understand. Charlie's friends were a cheery lot. They showed Harry and Hermione the harness they'd rigged up so they could suspend Norbert between them. They all helped buckle Norbert safely into it, and then Harry and Hermione shook hands with the others and thanked them very much. At last Norbert was gone. They slipped back down the spiral staircase, their hearts as light as their hands. Think they're missing anything? I think they're missing something. Now that Norbert was off them, no more dragon, Malfoy in detention, what could spoil their happiness? The answer to that was waiting at the foot of the stairs. As they stepped into the corridor, Filch's face loomed suddenly out of the darkness. Well, he whispered. "We are in trouble." They left the invisibility cloak on top of the tower. Oops. Won't be the last time either. It won't. That's what I wrote there. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, somebody is in trouble. Oh, I totally forgot. I have it here too. I was going to show this off too. I got something else for my birthday. my friend Kelly, the same girl that got me the pop-up book, the pop-out map of Hogwarts. She also got me this. She also got me pillow things, pillowcases. That's what they're called. I was gonna say pillow sheets. I mean, yeah, they're pillow sheets, but if you can see this. I can't see myself. I'm sorry. I can't. There I am. Okay. Yay! If you didn't know, I'm in Gryffindor. Most people know at this point. And here's the other side. Very, very cool. I like it. It's very, very nice. I have generous friends. I do. Yeah, but I got those, so. I got another pillowcase too. I think it's the same, but I actually didn't look at it. So, anyway, hopefully I'm not missing out on a whole nother design on the other one. But anyway, that is that for Storytime Saturday number 7. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Please leave a comment down below if you're watching this video after the fact. And please leave a like on the video. It helps. Tells YouTube that you like it, and it'll share it with other people. And if you haven't already, click subscribe so you can get more content like this. And click the notification bell so you can be notified the next time I go live and the next time I upload. I plan on going live. I'm thinking Friday. I think I'm going to shoot for Friday at 6 p.m. I think I'm going to shoot for Friday at 6 p.m. and I will stream probably Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper. Try to get that stuff done. Yeah. But definitely for sure next Saturday, join us here on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Storytime Saturday number 8, where we will read chapters 15 and 16. Almost done with this book. Very exciting. Yeah. But I think that's it. Hope and pray that my job goes well, that my first day goes well on Monday. And I'm hoping to get some more uploads out soon. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a magical evening. Bye-bye.